Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, a new recruiting firm has just opened in DFW, and it's personality-based. We'll be talking to the CEO and founder next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, there are many recruiting firms across the country, but not all of them are focused on the right things. And one of the right things is, are you putting the right employee in the right seat, and do they have the skill set? Do they have the natural personality to be successful in that place? To talk about that today, Chase Bryant. He is the founder and CEO of Wayne Human Capital. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So we were talking off camera about the idea that when you go into an Apple store and you're really frustrated because your device doesn't work, there's a great deal of empathy in terms of the employees they hire, who kind of talk you down off that ledge and say, let's take a look at this together. You're an Apple fan yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Through and through. All my products are Apple products, and I love the way that Apple loves to challenge the status quo in everything they do. And that's what we're doing here as well with Wayne Human Capital. Recruiting is done without a personality-based lens. It's done based off of criteria that are not meaningful or predictive of long-term success. And I think that should change. That's why we're starting this company.
And I think that's even more important now than it was, say, years ago, because of Gen Z and millennials who really want a seat at the table. And so a boss that starts off with, because I said so, doesn't really last well in today's America.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of employers these days are frustrated because they're not meeting the needs of their employees. But they haven't sought to understand the needs of their employees in the first place. So how in the world are you going to meet your employees' needs if you don't even know what they are? You don't have a good starting point for doing that. And that's what a personality-based recruiting lens helps us to do, is understand the employee before the point of hire so that we can manage, develop, and scale the organization with personality-tailored insights in the process.
And so what are some of the different personality traits or categories that you're looking for?
So you picked on a good one. Empathy there, that's important. Empathy is the ability to place yourself in another person's shoes and understand what they may be feeling. I don't know if you're familiar, you probably are, the difference between empathy and sympathy, and that sympathy has more to do with feeling compassion for another individual as they're going through something that's challenging. Empathy is actually understanding what it's like to be in that situation and experience those things firsthand.
Sure. So if you were going to place a C-suite executive who's going to be leading a team, what are some characteristics are you going to be looking for?
Yeah, excellent question. This is fun. So things like organizational savvy, decision-making ability, strength of character, these are all components that are going to come together. How well does that leader embody the values that predict success at that organization? The best way to teach a value is to show that value in your everyday life and be an example of that value. So a leader's ability to do that, especially at the C level, is going to be predictive of success, not only for them, but of their organization long term.
Sure. And we've got some video from our video library that we're going to put up on the screen right now. I know in a lot of workplaces there's collaboration. And so getting along with others is important, but not every, I mean, some people are like lone wolves.
Right.
They don't do well in a group like that, do they?
Yeah, and that's okay. It's okay to be an individual contributor. And we want to empower employers to recognize individual contributors as valued members of their organization and create career paths for them that aren't predicated upon needing to move to the next level and needing to manage a team. Management and leadership are very specific skill sets that fall outside of the realm of that individual contributor's roles and responsibilities. So if they can continue adding tremendous value to the organization in a non-management capacity, we need to empower them to do that.
Yes. How would you define your own characteristics?
So it's really hard to describe yourself, I think. But traditionally, I'm very open. I love new ideas. I love meeting new people, making new connections. One of the reasons, so when I started in recruiting, I remember telling my friends, it's ironic, but I would literally do this for free. They don't have to pay me to do this. I'm thankful that they do pay me to do this, but they don't have to. I had found my calling. And that is essentially what we're doing with Wayne Human Capital is we're helping candidates and employers better understand the individual so that they can align that individual with their purpose and calling. Sure. You probably have seen people that are disengaged and burned out at work. What kind of results do they offer?
They suffer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the work is lackluster, and it's no fun for the business owner. It's also no fun for the individual contributor either. People don't want jobs, people want purpose. And when we can align people with their unique purpose, we can empower them to create the very best work of their life.
Sure. I've even read where some police departments are now teaching empathy to officers, so there's not so much confrontation between the officer and the community.
What a challenge, right? To teach something like empathy. Empathy as a characteristic is so predictive of success in so many client-facing roles, so many roles where you have to have the ability to cultivate a relationship, build rapport, make a connection, these connections that will sustain you and protect you in the future, which is funny that you bring up law enforcement because they are the very institution that we depend on to serve and protect us.
Sure. And you and I met through Jerry Joyner. He's J-Man, as he's known. And we've got some video of you on the Weed and Whiskey TV show. And tell us more about that interview. And how did you meet J-Man?
Yes, so I met J-Man through his lovely wife, Sarah Beth. She's a part of the BNI Preston Center chapter, which I'm also a part of, which is just a fantastic group of individuals, small business owners, definitely a group of people that inspired me tremendously to get to where I am today, to have the courage and the know-how, the resources to launch a business. And it's not at all hard to see it being successful because everything you need to be successful is already there in front of you, all the resources. Sure. It's like the wisdom of the universe. It's all been written down at some point or another. There's a quote, if you want a new idea, pick up an old book. And I really believe that just like not all, but a lot of the wisdom has been documented and it's there in books just waiting for us to pick it up and turn the page. Similar to our BNI network, there is so much collective knowledge, wisdom, and know-how when it comes to launching, running, and scaling a successful business.
Sure. And we all know that there are unscrupulous firms out there, recruitment firms, that get paid by the placement, and they're just trying to get a warm body in the seat. But it's fairly short-sighted because if that person doesn't work out or worse, become toxic inside the organization, they've hurt their client.
Right. And unfortunately, you know this, being a small business owner, the pace at which business moves, it's incredibly fast, and we're having to make so many decisions on a daily basis to the point where oftentimes recruiters are used out of convenience. It's not that they're creating tremendous value within the organization, it's that they're quick and they're easy, and we can outsource this task and have it done to varying degrees of success within an organization. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. It incentivizes recruiters to have this systematic process of throwing pasta at the wall and seeing what sticks and celebrating when it does. But that's what I noticed when I was working in recruiting, and I had a very strong desire to say, the fees here, we want to create more in value than we take in payment. Right? That's a core value. So how do we do that? There's been a science behind hiring for many, many years. Why aren't we utilizing it? Especially in the SMB space. This is completely lost on the people who need it the very most. And that was the impetus for starting this business, is let's connect with this group of people who I'm deeply passionate about and inspired by, and provide them the resource that they need to grow and scale their organizations, take it to the next level. If you ask most business owners, what causes the majority of your anxiety or the majority of your headaches, they'll say people problems. We don't have the right people. We can't depend on our people. I started this business so that I could, fire myself from my job and manage sparingly and be a business owner. But what ends up happening is they can't find that GM or that CEO to run their business while they move on to a new chapter, start a new business, or whatever that might be. And we want to help them to do that. We want to help them to accomplish their long-term objectives. And the lens through which we do that is by having a candidate-first mentality. So it has to make sense for the candidate before it ever has the opportunity to make sense for the business owner. Because if we go all the way back to where we started this conversation, it's about aligning professionals with their unique career purpose so that they can go on to contribute the best work of their life.
Sure. And we've all seen cases where you have a great salesperson who's kind of a lone wolf. He's out there doing his or her thing, and they're doing such a good job, they get promoted to manager. And that's a completely different skill set, right?
Right. Yeah, it's the worst thing that could happen to them. It's the least compassionate way as an employer that you could treat them, but it's done under the false pretense of thinking that it is the logical next step. But especially in sales, for many salespeople, it is absolutely not. And we cap their earning ability and potential, and especially their satisfaction and fulfillment in their work, which if they're highly successful, their fulfillment is probably very high. And then we take them into this completely new context, usually without the tools that they need to be successful in it. And then we kind of leave them to their own devices, unfortunately. Right. So I want to suggest a better way where we first understand the individual and take steps to create a career path for them that does tap in to their unique purpose and calling.
Outstanding. You've been an amazing guest. We're going to end with his LinkedIn page. Go ahead and get a hold of Chase Bryant for all your recruiting needs. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
That's it for now. We'll see you next time.